you guys for coming. I appreciate that. They tried to show that video, I think the night of the ceremony, and it didn't work real well. So kind of really the first time I've seen it. I appreciate it. A lot of good memories there. The beginning of that video, my hair was a lot browner, I noticed. So that's part of it, I guess. But you know, again, here we go. We're getting ready to start the season. Coming off a great year, and I'll talk about that just for a few minutes. Obviously, we won 48 games last year, and we played incredibly well at home. It's pretty amazing to think back in SEC play. We were 14-1 at Baum Walker Stadium, and that may be the first time I've said that. Baum Walker sounds pretty good, and you know, a lot of it has to do with we're familiar with the surroundings, but I really believe that, you know, you the fans, you help us win games. There's no doubt about it, and puts a lot of pressure on the other team, and you guys are loud and proud, and our guys really appreciate it. You know, we lost a lot of good players off of last year's team, and you know, I'm proud of those guys. They gave us everything they had. You know, we had 11 guys drafted last year. 9 of them signed a professional contract. You know, Blaine Knight and Casey Martin. Excuse me, we still have Casey Martin. Thank God. How about Casey Murphy? You know, and Barrett Lowski, Jake Reindl. I mean, some pretty good pitchers right there that we're trying to replace. You know, Evan Lee was drafted. You know, then obviously position guys: Carson Chatty, Eric Cole, Luke Bonfield, Jax Biggers, Grant Cook. You know, Jared Gates, and also Isaiah Campbell was drafted, and Zach Plunkett was drafted, and he was our backup catcher last year, one of them. And those two guys didn't sign, but you know, I mentioned a lot of people that are not here anymore, and you're all starting to realize, hey, we lost a lot of players. And you know, the good thing is we've got good players in our organization, and guys just keep, you know, developing, and that's what it takes. You know, you go in, you get a transfer, you get a JUCO guy. You have a couple of guys, you know, pick it up a little bit. A lot of times that freshman year is a little difficult. And the sophomore year, they kind of turn the corner and mentally realize they're good enough to play here. And that's what we're counting on this year. We're gonna have to do a good job coaching. We're gonna have to figure out some things, and we're still trying to figure it out. I mean, we're meeting this morning and we're flipping guys around here and there and trying to figure out roles for pitchers, and you know, I could go on and on, but we'll figure it out. It might take a while. The issue is, by the time we get it figured out, we're going to be into the heart of the schedule, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But you know, again, just one more time on the 2018 team. What a great bunch of guys. What a fun group to be around. And you know, you look back, it was such a long season, but it was fun. It was fun being around those guys because they showed up every day for the most part with a smile on their face. They worked extremely hard, and they had a goal, and that was to win the national championship. So really, really good clubhouse. They got along. They backed each other up, and I think that you know, they left their mark on our program, and just appreciate those guys and wish them the best in their pro careers and off out in the real world. So also want to just talk about last year and a little bit about this year's team academically. We've been doing a great job in the classroom. I know last year we finished with over a 3-point grade point average for 2 semesters. And like I say every year, that's hard to do when you're always going to have a couple of guys that maybe are 4 points and 3-9 guys, 2-3-8s, and it starts to drop obviously. And then you've got those guys down there that we fight every day, you know, to make it 2-2. And Bridget DeLay, who heads up our academics, has done a tremendous job. We made over a 3-point in the fall as well with this group, so they've done a great job in the classroom, and it's nice to coach kids that can retain things. It makes it a little easier, so we're happy for that. But you know, and kind of the video mentioned the fans and the attendance. You know, again, we ended up being 3rd, I think, nationally in attendance on basically, I think, the average per game, and it was a little over 8,000 a game we averaged. Obviously, in some of the big games, you know, we'd have 10, 11, 12,000 maybe. They'd squeeze everybody in there that they could. And, you know, it's hard for us to get much higher than 3rd in the country in attendance because of room and seats. You know, when you talk about LSU and, you know, maybe Ole Miss, Mississippi State, they have a lot of seats. They have some open area, and you know, they draw really well. And you know, it's interesting. Everyone I'm talking about is in our division. The Western Division is incredible. I think the Western Division is 1 through 5 in attendance the last few years. So you know, we have good crowds at home, but when we go on the road, we face really good teams in front of their fans, and we have to try to handle that. When you think about it, last year we didn't handle it real well. We lost a lot of tight games. We just didn't play great on the road, really until the end of the season, and then we started playing a lot better. But we made up for it by winning at home, and that was huge for us. But we just really appreciate all the support and everybody coming out every year. And it looks like with the number of season tickets we've sold this year, it's going to be another great year at the ballpark. So with that being said, I'll move on to the 2019 team and just talk a little bit about that. I know you guys are interested on who's going to do what, and so are we, to be honest with you. So we'll get there. You know, what goes on a little bit with our new guys, you know, at the end of the season, we have kids that are coming in and guys in our program that maybe didn't play a lot. We sent a lot of those guys out to play some summer ball in Cape Cod, California, and you know, a couple guys went with Team USA. A lot of the guys will, in this past year's team, since the season was so long, example, Heston Kerstad and Casey Martin, true freshmen that played almost every day. Heston, I call him Kirsten all the time. Heston Kerstad played every game last year. I mean, so we sent those guys basically home to rest for a couple of weeks. They came back and worked out, went to school a little bit, and they just kind of healed up. The guys are healing up, and you know, that's kind of what goes on in the summer. But for the most part, we try to get ready for the next season. Our guys did a good job in summer ball. They represented us well, the ones that went out. A couple of championships in California, in the California League, and guys went to Team USA and represented, you know, the Razorbacks well. You know, Matt Cronin did a super job out there, and I mean, it's just good to see those guys out playing a little bit and being around some of the better players in the country and develop. You know, we also have, you know, a lot of the guys, you know, they come in and they try to figure out where their place is on the team, and you know, it's starting to be a little bit of a trend now where some of the freshmen start to come in the second session of summer school. We had a few kids do that, and I think it helped a little bit. And our philosophy is, if you're a pitcher, we kind of want you to come on in. You've pitched a lot, we'll rest you and get you ready for fall ball. As a high school hitter, graduated high school player, kind of like those guys to go out and play and swing the bat a little bit. They won't have too much downtime before they start facing our guys, and they struggle a little bit. The more they can swing it, the better. So we had a lot of that going on. We do have a lot of new kids on our team this year. I think we have about 20 new guys. If you look at it, I think about 18 of those are freshmen. And you probably think, well, how do you get that many players? You have a certain amount of scholarship, all different ways. Academics, complete straight up walk-ons. We've got a couple, 3 kids that, I don't call them walk-ons, but you know, that's the word, I guess. We just call them, they came to Arkansas and they're paying their own way right now. A lot of those kids will end up being on scholarship, but we've got a couple, 3 in here that are doing really well, and I think that they'll be on scholarship. We only brought in 1 junior college transfer, and he's only a sophomore, and then we have 1 grad transfer that came in. So there's 20 new players on our team, but you heard that list I mentioned earlier that are not here. So we had a lot of, you know, a lot of spaces or spots to fill, and I think we've done a fairly good job with that. So what have we been doing since, you know, fall started? Same stuff. We bring them in pretty quick and get them rolling. We don't wait as long as a lot of programs do to get fall ball going, you know, especially the schools in the South. You know, a lot of times, example, Florida, they don't start fall ball until October. They have the weather to do it. So does LSU. They practice all the way up to Thanksgiving. Well, we don't really have that luxury, or if we did, we're taking a little bit of a chance, and we don't want to chance it. Our philosophy is, let's get them in here, let's get them rolling. We hit the weight room pretty hard the first week or 2, doing some baseball skill-related things. Start regular practice, you know, September 7th, 8th, somewhere in there. We have a 6-week window. We can get in as much as we can in that 6 weeks, but there are a limited number of full practices. We used all of them for the most part this year, and it went pretty well. We got to see a lot of things. Then we got back into the weight room, 4 times a week with skill instruction again. Also, obviously, we went through pitching change or coaching change with our pitching coach, which kids were a little nervous, but I think once we got Matt in here and you got to talk to him, work with him a little bit, everything's good, and so we kept it going pretty good. Obviously, they went home for the holidays. They're all put on a program, especially our pitchers, a throwing program. So when they get back for practice or school in January, it's not starting over. It's picking up from there. And if those kids don't do it, a lot of times what happens is they fall behind, they don't throw real well, and a lot of times they get sore arms, and that throws them back. So I think most of the guys did a good job with that, and and then here we are now. And it's an exciting time. So, that's kind of how fall ball goes leading into January. But I did want to mention a little bit about our recruiting before I get into some of the players and the personnel. Is that we had a pretty good. I think recruiting is going well here, and it's such a weird dynamic, to be honest with you. Who's going to sign? Who's coming back? Who's unhappy? Who's going to leave? There's always something going on. And we just try to piece it all together. We signed, a lot of kids in the fall signing. We signed 3 lefties. We signed 6 right-handed pitchers, 3 catchers, a couple infielders, a couple outfielders. 16 of those kids were high school kids, no junior college kids. Doesn't mean that this summer that we won't get a transfer to, or we might continue to look for a JC player or 2, and I'll be honest with you, we are. We kind of see what we need for the 20 season. We just kind of keep that door open. Some of these kids will probably sign a professional contract. Who knows? Some of them might not think they're good enough, vice versa. It never stops. And you just got to keep manipulating that roster so when you hit the ground in January, you feel like you can compete in the SEC nationally. Obviously, if you can compete in our league, you can compete nationally. That's a fact. So of those kids I just mentioned there, the 16, 5 of them are from in-state, and obviously 11 of them are out of state. You move to the 20 class, and I can't mention names or anything there, but I can tell you that class is very stout, and there's a lot of in-state kids. The 2020 high school kids coming out of this state, maybe the best I've seen it since I've been here. And to the point where we're gonna have to battle the pro people to keep some of those kids from in-state. There's some really, really good players. Kids that we feel like that will walk on campus in the fall of 2020 to a beautiful new building that's just about completed, and we hope, and they're going to get in the lineup. They're going to get in the lineup pretty quick. So we just got to get them to turn down some money early and make more later, and be a razor. That's what'll happen. And we're excited about that. Just want to talk about recruiting for a minute. Who's back on the team? A lot of people, well, who's back? Well, obviously, we didn't have a lot of left-handed pitching last year. We had Casey Murphy and basically, Matt Cronin. Those are the guys that got the work. Well, obviously, Matt's back, and hopefully he'll have a great junior year. Just kind of going through the pitchers, right-handed pitchers. Isaiah Campbell's back. Just continues to develop, both on the field and off. I mean, you just see him growing up, turning into just a great young man, and throwing the ball extremely well right now. We're really excited about him. Cole Ramage is back. Jacob Costy's shot. Cody Scroggins is back, and he's better than ever. Going to probably do a little bit of everything for us. He could close games. He could be a middle guy. He could start. He's throwing the ball extremely well. So's Costy's shot. He's a guy everybody's waiting on, and you might read about him a little bit because he's got a good arm. Well, he's starting to put it all together, and I think you're going to see him in many different roles. Kevin Copps, we missed Kevin last year with the arm injury. He's going to help us this year, and I think he's going to help us a lot. Kind of taking our time with him. He's got really good stuff. He'll be ready to go. But maybe give him a few games into the season, and I think he'll be a big part of our pitching staff. And then a couple of some guys that you really didn't see last year, like Zebulon Vermillion. Can everybody say that 10 times in a row? Good luck. Big kid. went out and had a good summer, kind of tweaked his arm a little bit. We took it easy with him in the fall, didn't pitch him. He's throwing the ball pretty good right now. He throws hard. I'm not going to mention all the velos. You can watch that fun little box on the scoreboard, and it'll tell you what they're throwing. But I will admit, half the time that thing's wrong. Because we have some other data that will tell us. But usually when it's wrong, it's usually slow for the most part. And we're kind of looking at it going, no, that's not right. So we'll run up into the room and everything's being, and it's saying 92 and the guy's throwing 95. Sometimes it doesn't catch it right. I don't know what's going on, but hopefully we can get that thing calibrated correctly. And then Angus Denton's back, and he pitched a little bit as a freshman. Probably shouldn't have pitched him there. We redshirted him last year. We feel like he'll be a good piece of our puzzle. I think he's going to be he's a side armor. I think he'll come in and get some right-handed hitters out. And I think he's a kid that can throw almost every day. He's tough. His arm bounces back. So we're excited about that. And then, we did have one arm injury late fall. Was Caleb Bolden, who you saw him pitch a lot last year, especially in midweek games. And he kind of went up, and then it kind of started going backwards. We couldn't kind of figure it out. Honestly, as a coach, in the back of your mind, you're going, he may be hurt. He may be hurt. And he kept telling us, no, I'm fine. Goes out, plays summer ball, goes okay. Ball's not going great. Velocity-wise, we're wondering what's up. And then finally, he's throwing a bullpen, and he walked off the mound, and that was it. And he had Tommy John surgery. And they went in there and came back and said he's had that injury for a while. When you get in there, they can figure it out. There's a little bit of, some things they can check out. I don't know all the terminology. And I felt bad for Caleb because I really believed last year during the spring that he would have a chance to be one of our conference starters this year. But I think he'll be back next year better than ever. He's getting really big and strong and working hard, and they feel like the surgery was a big success. So we're excited about him. So kind of moving on to the position players, he's back. Casey Opitz, Casey, when you see him, you think, oh, he's got a little bigger. He has. Swing the bat a lot better, put on some weight, some strength, and he's just a baseball player. You'll see. He can play any position on the field. He can be our catcher. He can play first base. He can play second, outfield. He's just a kind of a baseball rat. He's the youngest of three boys. Both of his brothers played professional baseball. One of them signed out of high school. The other went to the University of Nebraska, played 3 years, and then was drafted. I think they're both now coaching in professional baseball. So he's been beat on a little bit. He's a tough kid, and you're going to like him. He plays with some energy. And then Zach Plunkett came back, was drafted, not even playing last year because he has a really good arm. He's a big, strong kid. He's got some power. He's just got to continue to get better. He's going to get to play. We're excited about our two catchers. At first base, only returner we have is Jordan McFarland. He's in a battle right now, and he's struggled a little bit offensively. We really need him to get it going because big, strong kid. We'd like him to hit in the lineup. Middle infielders, obviously we have Casey Martin back. Middle infielders and third basemen, I would call these guys. Casey Martin, and then Kinley, and then Jacob Nesbitt, who we redshirted last year, and he'll play a little bit everywhere for us this year. So he's a redshirt freshman. And then obviously our two outfielders with Fletcher and Heston Kerstad are both back. And so really there's a big battle for left field. We moved Heston from left to right since the day he got back. I talked to him about it last year at the end of the season that, he just looks more like an outfielder in professional baseball to play right. See how he handled it over there a little bit better. Started out a little bit slow, now he's pretty good over there. He made a really nice catch the other day in the scrimmage. If you drove by, maybe you went to the girls' basketball game Sunday and you saw the crazy baseball team out there scrimmaging in the rain with the lights on, that was us. We were out there. Heston made a really nice catch down the right field line, and it was good to see. So that's what we have coming back. Yeah, I named some guys that are pretty good. Obviously, they've had some experience. They need to keep jumping up that ladder and develop it. And I think you'll see that there's guys that are better now than they were last year. And then just some guys I think you need to look for, maybe some of our new guys. And what I've seen so far is from the class that just came in is that, the pitchers, there's some of the freshman pitchers are really going to help us this year. And that's always nice for coaches when you've got some young arms to build around for the future. And we're seeing that right now with Patrick Wicklander, a left-hander. he threw really good yesterday, so that was good to see. He had a really good fall. You know, maybe out of the pen this first weekend, but I think you may see him. He may start on the weekend before it's over with. It's hard to say. And then another lefty, Caden Monk out of Illinois, tall, skinny kid. We don't hit him real hard. When he throws strikes, he's really good. It's when he throws strikes. He's really good. So, and you're laughing, but the next guy's the same way. We have Evan Taylor. He's a really good left-hander when he throws strikes. And so that's their battle. And when those guys become real consistent in the zone, they're going to be a big part of our pitching staff. And then we had another lefty, Liam Henry, that didn't pitch in the fall, kind of came in a little bit hurt. He's thrown the ball pretty good a couple of times. Velocity's better than we thought it was going to be. All of our lefties can get right to 90 or better. That's pretty good, and we have 4 or 5 of them. You know, we haven't had any in here for a while. So for the most part, they either have a good changeup and a curveball, or they have a good curveball. A couple of these guys have really good curveballs. A couple of them have really good changeups. If you have a curveball, changeup, and a fastball, usually you could start. You know, if you have 2 pitches, it makes it a little more difficult, but you're still very valuable. And then a couple of right-handers. We have a right-hander named Jacob Burton, who had a really good fall, and then got hit around a little bit at the end. And I think his first outing here, he touched 96 miles an hour. But he's found out the last 3 outings that he's had that it doesn't matter how hard you throw it, because we have worn him out with his 95, 96, 94. But he's going to help us. And he's got a good arm, and he's actually got a pretty good curveball, but he throws it in the zone a little too nice. He needs to start it in the zone where they think it's in the zone, and it runs out of the zone, and they swing at it. But you know, we feel like Jacob can help us. So all those freshman pitchers, you'll see those guys on the mound. And then the last freshman is our newest freshman, and that's Connor Nolan. And Connor has obviously, with his personality and his makeup, has just come in and fit in like he's been there all along. Introduced him to the team in the fall before we left for Christmas, and had him get up and introduce himself, just like all the players have to do in the fall, and say where he's from, what position he is, and what grade in school he is. And like they didn't know, but we made him do it anyway. And I think he kind of got an idea that that's just the way it is around here. We treat everybody the same, and he's come in and just thrown the ball extremely well. And we're excited about Connor. So I think that you'll see, for those of you who've been coming out and watching this scrimmage, he's had 3 outings against our hitters, and he's pitched like he's a little older than that. And so we'll see. I think you'll see him on the mound this weekend pretty early. So with that being said, we'll go move down here to position players. A couple of transfers. Trevor Ezell from Central Arkansas is a 5th-year graduate student that went to Southeast Missouri State. Was good enough to sign a pro contract, in my opinion, but he hurt his throwing shoulder, had to have some staples put in there this summer. A lot of teams in our league tried to get him to come to their program. We're just fortunate he came here. He'll be right in the middle of our lineup. He's a switch hitter. You'll see him playing some second base, DH, and first base, a little bit of everything. But you know, he can steal a base. Got a lot of good leadership qualities, and we needed some experience in our program right now with losing all those kids. Matt Goodhart, another Arkansas kid, could have taken Matt out of high school from Magnolia. Ended up going to San Jack. We wanted him to go to junior college for a year, and we went down and watched him. He's a good hitter. He's had some really good days for us. Still learning a few things, obviously, but we feel like that he has a chance to get in the lineup, whether he's playing left field, DHing, playing some first base. Has a knack for maybe be able to steal a base every now and then, and got a little power. He got some bat speed. He had one against Wichita State that landed in the pond in the fall. That was good to see. And then you know, he's not a big, tall, strong kid, but he's 6 foot, 6'1", but he's got some quick twitch in that bat. It's fun to watch him hit, especially when he's swinging it good. And then some of the freshmen I think you'll see. Christian Franklin played him a little bit in the fall against other teams. Really good base stealer. He's going to steal bases. He's a great defender for a young kid. Got a great opportunity to be our center fielder next year when Fletcher leaves. I think you'll see him out there a little bit. He's our best defensive freshman outfielder. Might get a start because of the defense and the base run. We got to get that bat going. but we really like Christian. And then, you know, Trey Harris is a guy that was in here. He's a freshman out of Little Rock, and he swung the bat extremely well. He's got to get a little better defensively. But we DH'd him in the game down at UALR. Got a couple of hits down there as a true freshman. But he's been hurt for 3 weeks straight. I mean, he ran into the fence the very first practice, and it was scary because he tripped right before he got to the fence, and he hit the fence head on. And I'm talking the foul fence. Thank goodness for a padding. If it was Wrigley Field, he wouldn't be here anymore. Trust me, because they have bricks. They don't have a pad. It was very spooky. That hurt his back and his neck, and he missed a week and a half on that. First day back out practicing, he slides into second base and hurts his knee. So I don't even know if he's had maybe one at bat. I don't know if he's had any in the scrimmage, and this was a guy we thought might be able to hit for us a lot. So he's starting to get there, but we'll see how that goes. And there's obviously a couple other freshmen I can mention, but you know me, when they haven't done anything yet, I'm not going to say a whole lot about them, and we'll let them prove it a little bit more. So, you know, that's kind of what we have as far as returners, new guys. I think you're going to enjoy watching some of these young arms develop over this year, next year, position player-wise. A couple of transfers, a couple of freshmen I think are going to get in there, and then obviously a lot of the guys that have been in our program. So we've got to figure out how the batting order works that runs or scores runs the most. I mean, we have flip-flopped a lot of things. Are we going to hit Martin leadoff? We're going to hit him in the 3-hole. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And, you know, are we scoring runs with that lineup or that one? And I think it'll be a little bit different until, you know, here and there until we get it right. Or it might stay the same for 4 or 5 games, and it goes stale for a couple of games, and maybe we tweak it a little bit more. There might be a little more platooning than you've seen. Let a couple of these right-handed hitters get hit against the lefties, or vice versa. So, you know, we'll have to experiment. Every now and then, it might cost you a game. Midweek game, you're trying to figure some things out. Sometimes a loss now will get you 2 down the road. So that's the way we look at it. So when you're walking to your car after a game and it doesn't go good and you're thinking, what is Coach Van Horn doing playing those guys? Just remember this a little bit, okay? I don't want to lose either, trust me. It's just, you got to get those guys on the mound. You got to, okay, he came in and got the lefty. We had a 6-run lead, who cares? Okay, there's the lefty up. Can this lefty get the lefty with the tying run at third and the winning run at second? When the game's on the line, we have to figure that out before we play Missouri, the first conference series. I mean, little things like that. So we're just as nervous as you are when they're out there, okay? Just trust me on that. But speaking of the games, we have a really good home schedule this year. And, you know, the attendance was great last year and the weather was horrible. I don't know. Basically, this was a nice day last year, I think, rainy about 50. And you still came to the games. I mean, it was amazing. This year, I mean, non-conference games, obviously we play, and these are home games, Eastern Illinois. Their coach is a very good pitching guy. They have, if you look at their roster, it's all juniors and seniors. A lot of times the mid-majors, I coached at Northwestern State for 3.5 years. We had to get a lot of junior college kids because that's what we could get. The high school kids were going other places to the bigger schools, and, you know, we did what we did. Well, that's what they have to do. They've got a lot of older kids that have a lot of college experience, but maybe not a bunch of Division I experience. We got Memphis coming in here. Stony Brook, been in the World Series. You know, Charlotte, we played them once last year on the road and they beat us. So that'll be interesting, 2-game midweek series. We're coming between a couple of good series there. We're going to have some of our young pitchers step it up against them, and I would tell you right now, I would think Charlotte will throw one of their top pitchers at us one of those games. We'll see what they do the weekend before, see if they throw their guys, but I feel like they'll hold one of them out, and it may be the Friday guy. So Louisiana Tech coming in here for a weekend series. That's going to be a great series. They returned 8 position player starters and all 3 conference weekend starters. They're picked to win the league or come in second behind Southern Miss. They're really good. Like, I'm kind of worried about it, I'll just tell you that. But, you know, we'll just try to get better until they get here. I feel the same way about Stony Brook, to be honest with you. They're going to be a good club. They always are. But Louisiana Tech they're not coming in here just to try to get a game. They're coming in here to win the series, and it's going to be a battle. Their head coach is one of my former coaches, and I know what he's all about. He also was an assistant coach at Mississippi State, and he's got that program rolling. And I think it's going to be a great series. Western Illinois. And then obviously we get to play UA Little Rock here, and I'm excited about that. We're also going to play Pine Bluff here. Those are midweek games. I think that'll be something that the state will keep an eye on. I think people are going to take interest in that. It's going to help all the schools involved. We also are going to play Oral Roberts. We haven't played them for a while. Played them in the tournament a couple years ago, but they're going to come in. And then Northwestern State. You got to see me in my Northwestern State jersey. I was probably 10 pounds lighter. I looked pretty good. My hair was dark, but I learned a lot about Division I baseball. I learned a lot about recruiting, coaching there, and they went to a regional last year, and they've got most of their players back. As a matter of fact, they went to the regional at Oregon State, and they almost eliminated LSU in that regional. LSU had to score 2 or 3 runs in the top of the 9th and maybe tied it and beat them, or they eliminated them. They would have played Oregon State in the championship game. So I'm excited about them coming in. A couple of midweek games. Those are big games for us. And again, we'll throw some of those younger guys that need some experience because we're going to be right in the middle of conference play. So, and then we obviously we play, we play Grambling in Little Rock later this year. So the grass can green up a little bit so we can see the baseball. Because if those of you who've ever gone to that game, they don't overseed the field down there. And it's Bermuda grass. Well, Bermuda grass will sit. Probably most of you have in your yard. It doesn't really turn green until almost June, May. Well, they'll shoot it with a little bit of fertilizer. We have overseed. We have green field, but it's light colored underneath. And we put a lot of chemicals on it. That's why I always say, if you ever catch a fish in that pond, do not eat it down there. Probably should have said that. We're probably not going to get drunk for that. But Grambling and Little Rock, hopefully the field will be nice and green by the time we play down there. And then, you got to think about a couple of our non-conference games. We get to go back to Austin and play the University of Texas on a Tuesday and Wednesday. That'll be a very big challenge for us. Because they're going to be waiting on us, and I'm looking forward to going there. I think it'll be good for our guys to play there, play one of the best teams in that conference, and play on the road. From there, we go to Alabama, so that's during our spring break. And then obviously we go play Southern Cal on the road in not very long. As a matter of fact, it's sneaking up on us, and we know what kind of talent's on the West Coast. That'll be a big challenge. But kind of get back to the home schedule. That's a really good home schedule of non-conference games, but then you throw in, Missouri, kind of a school that can be a little bit of a rival there, and then Mississippi State, and LSU. All 3 of those teams are ranked ahead of us in preseason poll, which honestly, I'm not kidding when I say this. I did not think that we would be ranked in the preseason poll in the top 25. And I told our team that in a team meeting before the holidays, and I was wrong. Hats off to our players, the respect they're getting nationally, and our program. But we have a ways to go before I think that I can tell you that we deserve that. And I've told the players that. We're maybe living off last year and the reputation of a few players. We've got to get there. This schedule is going to challenge us. The home games are going to be incredible. If we have good weather, I think that we could break some records this year. I really do. Especially when you play LSU in May, that's going to be fun. Especially if it really means a lot in league standing. That's our second to last series. Ole Miss and Mississippi State are in April. Let's just hope that the weather is good. And I think that, again, we will pack the place. And, we have a lot of recruits in. And when they see the fans, it helps. Trust me. And, a lot of them talk about those guys that sit right behind the dugout. I don't know why. They always want to talk about it. I told them I don't want to talk about it. I listened to them for 16 years. And I can tell you everything they're going to say after one word comes out of their mouth. I know what's coming out next. And that's okay, because they help us win. So I appreciate it. Just some of the games in the future that I thought you might want to know about a little bit. And, example 2020, we're going to go back to the Shriners Classic in Houston, where the Astros play. We're going to play University of Oklahoma. We're going to play Baylor in Texas. And then later in the year, you're probably going to think I'm crazy for this one, we're going to go play at Michigan State in late April, and it's all about getting them back the next year. And they're going to come play us in Fayetteville. And then we're also going to go play a game over at OU next year as well. So that'll be interesting. And then they'll come back the next year in 21. In 2021, something that's I'm excited about, a little bit nervous because you never know how the weather's going to be for practice. But the opening weekend, and I can't remember not playing here opening weekend, but we won't play here opening weekend. We'll be in Arlington, and we're going to play in their brand new ballpark. And I think the roof closes and opens, which is nice. And we're going to play TCU, Texas, and Texas Tech to open the season. So I hope we're good. That's all I can tell you. Also, we're going to play on the road against Louisiana Tech on a weekend, 3 games. And then we're also going to play, like I said, we're going to play OU at home. And, we're going to have hopefully that 19 class will be good sophomores. The kids we have in here now are older and developed and really pitching well. And a couple of those hitters come on. And that 20 class, they get in here and they're all freshmen. And I think a few of them are going to be scattered in that lineup. And their first college game might be playing a Big 12 team in a big league ballpark that's brand new. So that should be exciting for them. And as Coach O'Brien mentioned earlier, we've got this new facility going in, and we just had another meeting with the architects and our administration, everybody. I think it was last Thursday, and they had some really nice drawings. And yes, it does fit in with the stadium. All of you have been concerned about this and that. And we've got it straightened up, so we can leave that there. But it looked really good. They listened to what everyone's wanting. They're going to come back again and finish up some things, and we'll see them in about a month and be a little farther along where I think I'm okay to say this, possibly, I can't even say it, possibly able to show you some things, some renderings, and I think that'll be big. We want it for our recruiting, but I know you guys want to see what's going to go on there as well. So it's going to be something else. It's going to fit in with the ballpark. It's going to make the ballpark better. It's really going to help in recruiting, but what it's really going to do is help us develop players, because you can't expect the kid to come in out of high school and be ready to go. They got to keep getting better, and we have to get them better. Doesn't always work that way, but for the most part, if a kid wants to work and he's got the mind to do it, a lot of times, we talk about this all the time. We can see what they can do physically, but we don't know these kids well enough to know where they're at right here and right here. And that's the ones that mentally can handle the SEC and this level of baseball, they play earlier. The other ones, they play later, or sometimes they don't play. And that's probably our biggest battle is trying to get to know the kids and hope they're confident up and they know that they can play here one day. So, but I really feel like all the development we'll be able to do in that facility and the training room we're going to have is going to be incredible. And for rehab and training, pitching area will be amazing. Our weight room is going to be right in the middle of it, and it's going to be something when we walk a family and the player through there. I'm hoping before we get to the parking lot, they ask me where they can sign. That's what I'm hoping. So it doesn't always work that way, but we think it's going to help. So again, I appreciate you guys so much, and appreciate last year. I mean, I've told this story many times. I was amazed at how many people went to Omaha. I knew we'd have a lot go to Omaha, but I was blown away, and I've been there a lot. I've been there as a fan, when I coached at Nebraska, we didn't make it. I ran up there once or twice. I've been there with Coach O'Brien a couple of times with his teams. I've been 2 times at Nebraska, 5 times here. And I've seen LSU bring their fans in, and just teams that are maybe a little closer, like Wichita State made it many years ago, bring their fans in. But I don't think I've ever seen as much red. I think that if we would have played LSU up there, it would have been a battle for that stadium between red and purple, and I think we'd won. So just really appreciate all your support there, and looking forward to getting the season going. Be patient. We'll figure this out. But we have a lot of things to figure out. Hopefully when I'm standing up here on the 4th, we've gotten better. We've won a lot of games along the way. And I know the next time I meet with you, the third time, we play a bunch of games in March. So we're going to find out where our depth is. We're going to get some young pitchers some time on the mound, and we'll know really a lot more where we're at, heading into April. And April is always hugely important, as you know. So